Well, hello, and welcome to another video, where today we'll be talking about different serial killers and how powerful they truly are. Which, yeah, is a pretty weird video idea, but let's just do it anyways. With the 4 serial killers being the following: Frank Zito from Maniac, Joseph from the Creep series, Norman Bates from the 4 Psycho movies, and Edward Carver from the Poughkeepsie tapes. And obviously, a fair warning, there will be a lot of gore that I gotta censor, so yeah, be ready for that when it's in black and white or just blurred. But yeah, anyways, if you do happen to enjoy the video, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel, as it does encourage me to make more videos like these. Anyways, let's move on to the first of these 4 killers. Now, fair warning, for this section of the video I'll be switching between the original and the 2012 remake of the movie, and this really just comes down to the fact that the original itself is just so fucking violent and gory that I can't get away with showing half the scenes. And that's because Tom Savini's effects are just absurdly good, so yeah, if you are questioning why they keep switching between 2 movies, that's actually the reason. Anyways, moving on to the actual feats now. Now, for the first feat we'll be talking about, it will be a sort of AP feat, which is really just him scalping people, which of course is done through the film a lot, but I can't really show much of it because of how fucking violent it is, so I'll just show one instance of this, which, when going off of my god-awful attempt at calcing this shit, because of course I tried doing it, the result was found to be around fucking athlete level. Though I am pretty bad at calcing, so I'd take this with a grain of salt. Anyways, moving on to the next feat, and it's a really basic throat slash at the beginning of the film, which when calculated should roughly be around street level apparently, which as you can tell is probably pretty common for most of these characters. Now, the final sort of weapon AP feat is actually going to be from his shotgun, which as you can see absolutely destroys Tom Savini's head here, which roughly gets anywhere from street level to even fucking wall level, like holy shit. And that's really it for this AP slash weapon section for Frank Zito, with us now going on to the speed section, which is really just 1 feat, so really not much here, with the feat in question just being him chasing after a woman, which should be anywhere from average to maybe even athlete if you want to push it, but really there isn't much context here for it. It's just really your average movie chase, so I guess do what you want with that, but yeah, average human to around athlete is probably your best bet for it. Anyways, moving on to lifting strength, he's mostly known for just strangling women a lot, which is like what, average human I guess. If you want to strangle someone, I guess, I don't fucking know where that gets you. Now, for the higher end of lifting strength, he should roughly be around above average human, with the feat in question being him lifting up the boyfriend of one of his earlier victims using a garrote wire while he choked them out, which yeah, should be above average human I guess. I don't really know for this, but hey, he also got into the throat, so I guess it should be. Meaning his lifting strength is anywhere from average to above average human. Moving on to the final section, which is really just intelligence, he should roughly be around above average for intelligence, with much of this coming from his outfit that he would wear when he's going for some killing, which allows him to hide his identity for a lot of the time during the film, which obviously allows him to also evade police for a fair bit. Plus, his ability to act like a ladies' man does also help his case, as at one point in the film he is shown actually paying for a hotel room for a person he ends up killing. Plus, the fact later in the film he does trick a woman by making her have a false sense of security before killing her as well definitely does help his case, with the only reason of him being caught was the fact that he accidentally exposed the fact he killed someone during a mental breakdown, which yeah, definitely does show he is mentally unstable, but he should be at least above average in intelligence. And with that, we end off the Frank Zito section, with us now moving on to Joseph from the Creep series.
High five.
No.
Yeah!
Now, the next killer we're talking about here comes from the Creep series, which includes Creep 1, Creep 2, and both seasons of the Creep tapes. Now, Joseph doesn't have as many AP feats, but he still does have a few notable ones, such as his consistent way of killing, which is just putting his axe through people's skulls, which roughly should be around street to even street plus, surprisingly enough, with another feat of his being able to slash someone's throat, which is also a lot lower, but also street level still. And that's really it for the notable AP feats I could think of off the top of my head, and that I've seen from the Creep series, so moving on to speed now. And really, there is really only one speed feat that's notable to talk about, and that's him slashing one of his victims' throats faster than they could actually react, which, considering it was your average Joe, it's probably roughly around athlete to maybe even peak human if you want to push it that far, but more likely to be athlete at best. Anyways, moving on to lifting strength, with his one notable lifting feat being him snapping a victim's neck pretty easily, which can range from athletic human to even class 1 depending on how much vertebrae was actually broken. broken, and also applies for street level AP that I didn't add because I wanted to add it to this section, but yes, it's also street level AP. Anyways, moving on to the final section of this part, which is really just IQ. With his IQ roughly being around above average to even the gifted ranges for intelligence, with one of his notable instances being from season 2 episode 1 of Creep Tapes, in which he completely messes with a copycat killer and even says a bunch of stuff to really mess with him, even admitting that he drank a drug drink just to make him feel better. He even shocked the hell out of the killer by just pointing out certain details that even he knows. And another notable IQ feat would actually be coming from season 2 episode 3, in which Joseph literally sets up a fucking Saw-inspired trap and even went in with a victim, just tricking him into thinking it's another victim before, he just reveals that he was the one behind it. With the final IQ feat I'll be talking about here being from season 2 episode 2. And what happens is he is a victim and he gets caught by the police, but he's able to convince them that it's someone else before he manages to then kill them before they can actually draw their suspicion properly, which should reasonably put his IQ at above average to even gifted. And now moving on to our second last killer.
Why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
So our next killer here will be coming from the 4 Psycho movies, being Psycho 1 by Alfred Hitchcock, its sequels Psycho 2, Psycho 3, and then Psycho 4 The Beginning. With the first feat coming from Psycho 3, with the feat in question being Norman Bates breaking someone's arm, which should get Norman Bates to the street level ranges of power. Plus it doubles as a lifting feat considering it also takes around 4,000 newtons, which is around peak human level for lifting strength. With the other notable feat being him destroying a chair by hitting a woman in the head so hard she broke the chair under her, like what the fuck? Which can roughly get anywhere from street level to even potentially wall level, though the street level end is the more likely answer. And I'll just put up the explanation right here so y'all can actually read it, which is purely because I am way too lazy to actually explain this shit. Anyways, moving on to the speed section, with his one notable speed feat being him being able to attack Arbogast faster than he could react as he was getting up the stairs, though it is very likely he was off guard, so there is that as well, but it should still be around athlete at least. Now for lifting strength I already mentioned the big one, but I will mention he also does carry around dead bodies, which is like what, above average, so it's not as impressive as the other, but also notable to mention still. Anyways, moving on to the intelligence section, and he should roughly be around above average for 2 main reasons, with the first reason being the fact that he does in fact clean up crime scenes, which obviously helps cover his tracks so he can get away with a lot of the murders he does commit as his alter ego as the mother. The main other reason is the fact that he is also a motel owner, which does take a fair bit of intelligence to actually pull off pretty successfully, with the final reason being the fact that he's pretty skilled at taxidermy, which yes does include even doing it to dead bodies, which reasonably should get him to at least above average for intelligence. And time to finally move on to the final killer. And as you can see, our final killer for today is in fact Edward Carver from the Poughkeepsie tapes, which is a pretty cool mockumentary horror film I do recommend checking out actually, it's pretty good. Anyways, moving on to the first notable feat of his, which is his only notable AP feat, which is him caving in the skull of Cheryl's boyfriend, which reasonably should get anywhere from street to even potentially wall level, though I think that depends on how you feel about it. Anyways, moving on to his one notable speed feat he has, which the feat in question is just him chasing down Cheryl Dempsey. Though Cheryl did trip early on during the chase, so it is questionable on whether or not Edward was actually catching up to her fully or because she tripped, though it is implied he was toying with her, which is just backed up by the fact that he never actually killed her and she actually ended up ending herself instead. Anyways, moving on to lifting strength, and he should roughly be average to even above average in terms of lifting strength, which is really just him overpowering a woman, which should roughly be those average to above average level ranges of lifting strength. And finally moving on to the intelligence section, which reasonably should be gifted for the following reasons, such as the fact that the police could never find him despite the fact they had a sketch and all these tapes showing his crimes, which as you can see is a lot of fucking tapes, like holy shit this man killed a lot, with another reason being the fact that he tortured Cheryl Dempsey so badly she ended up ending herself, which is pretty insane to think about that he could actually manipulate you into killing yourself like that. Now the final reasoning is his casual manipulation of others to get into their vehicle and then kill them pretty easily, along with the home invasion he's done, which reasonably should get him gifted in intelligence. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Hopefully you all did enjoy the video, and if you have any suggestions, please do comment them down below, as I do read comments and I do take suggestions as well. And yeah, I guess I'll see you all in the next video then.